Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about crazy prices on vinyl records. That's been a common theme lately. I know a lot of you have been saying, oh, the vinyl records are too expensive. No, you have no idea. I just went to a store over the weekend and I kid you not, they had the craziest prices I have ever seen. And I want to have a little fun with this, make fun, show the prices. We can all get a good laugh. But I want to be a little serious for just a moment. So my husband and I, we went to Mechanipe, Florida. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Forgive me if I'm not. It's a quaint little town. It was very nice. They have some antique shops there. It was just a nice little getaway for us to just go and do something different. My husband and I, we don't go to antique stores for vinyl records. That's kind of not our thing. But the house we moved into is bigger than the one we had before, and some of the artwork at the other house doesn't work here. So we have a lot of empty walls. We love going to antique stores to find just unique items to fill our house with for decor reasons. And it's just a lot of fun. We just enjoy going to antique stores. And we did go to one antique store in Mechanipe, and I did see some vinyl records there, and I got really curious. I'm like, ooh, some of these look kind of nice. And when I saw the prices, I was shocked. And, you know, if this had been a yard sale, garage sale, even a flea market, I would have saw these prices and just kind of chuckled and kind of blew it off, you know? Because someone who's having a garage sale, they're just wanting to get rid of their stuff. They're not taking the time to look up what records might be worth. And some people do have an overestimated idea about the popularity of records, making common records really, really expensive. So I even was guilty of that before I really got into vinyl records. I had my mom's old Beatles record and I was shocked that it wasn't more valuable than it actually was. So I get that. But when you go into an antique store, and I'm not talking about one where you go in and there's 100 vendors. You know, I'm not talking about the owner of that building. I don't hold them accountable for every price those vendors put on their items they want to sell. That to me is not really a true antique store. The store we went into looked like a true antique store. You walk in and there's all this vintage and antique furniture, beautiful paintings all over the walls that were old. I even saw one I was interested in that I was going to ask questions about. We looked around the whole area, and when I see an antique store like that, I kind of look at the owner as being an antique dealer. And I expect an antique dealer to have knowledge about what they put in their store, to be able to tell me a little bit about an item, and I honestly expect them to know what the value of something is, whether it's a painting, a piece of furniture, or a vinyl record. They're held up to a little bit of a higher level than a garage sale, or even what I would call a flea market type of situation where there's just a ton of vendors. This was a true antique store, and I was shocked by their pricing. So they might have lost a sale on a painting, because if I couldn't trust their prices on the vinyl records, I sure wasn't going to make a big purchase on a painting from them. I don't know. I guess I just expected more from an antique store and an antique dealer, and they need to do better than what I saw over the weekend. So I'm going to step off my soapbox now and just kind of chuckle at some of the prices. And even antique stores, the dealers, they have a right to ask whatever they want to for a vinyl record. And I'm hoping and praying no one buys any of these records, because if they do, they have way overpaid. And wait till you see the last record I show. It's going to blow your mind. Let's get started with one that we all know and love, Yesterday and Today by the Beatles. Now, I'm showing my gold record award version. It's on that purple capital label. The one I saw in the store, I looked at the album cover well enough to know it was absolutely not a second state Beatles butcher cover, because if it was, I would expect a high price for that. That's a collectible. That is not one you see every day. But it was just a regular copy. One that was pressed well after that. And they wanted $125 for it. Now, with the prices I'm going to be talking about in this video, there's no way I picked up the records and inspected the vinyl to see. So I don't know what the label was. I just know clearly it was not a second state butcher. I wasn't wanting to touch the vinyl and take them out, because if I would have accidentally dropped one of these records, I probably would have been liable to buy it. And at these prices, you will understand why I was scared to touch any of them. $125 for a regular copy of the Beatles Yesterday and Today? I mean, is this a $30 at best when it's in good shape? I thought that was really insane, and that got me to digging and looking around shockingly at more of their prices. And I'm going to be showing some Tom Petty records. So if you want to beef up your Tom Petty collection and pay way too much money, go to Mechanipe. And I like Mechanipe. It was a nice little town. So no offense to Mechanipe at all. But this particular record, and this was one of my favorites by Tom Petty, You're Gonna Get It. My copy is an original, and it looks pretty good. It's pretty clean. I would say the record that was at this store didn't look quite as good as this one does. And they wanted $40 for it. Now, that's not outrageous. I mean, it's probably a 20, in the condition it was in, it was probably a $15 to $20 record at most. But $40, it's like, okay, that's not insulting. That's a pass, a hard pass, but not insulting. This next one gets digs a little deeper. Another Tom Petty record, Let Me Up, I've Had Enough. This one I don't see as often. It's not one of those Tom Petty records, those immediate ones that comes to mind. Maybe even one of his weaker in his catalog, depending on how you feel about Tom Petty records. They wanted $60 for it, and the copy didn't look any better than mine. Mine has some ring wear right here, just a little. It's not that bad. I certainly don't need to upgrade this record. I don't pull it out as often as I pull out other Tom Petty records. But they wanted $60 for theirs in lesser shape than mine. And mine's not great. I mean, look at the ring wear, you know. I'd say it was a little bit on par. I would never dream that I would get $60 out of this record if I wanted to sell it. So that was shocking as well. Another Tom Petty record, this is called Long After Dark, and one of his underrated records. I really love this one. I love You Got Lucky, and this is a great, if you get an original 1982 version of this, it sounds really good. They had this record, and they wanted $70 for this record. Unbelievable. That is a lot of money for this. Now, I would say in clean condition, in the condition I have it in, $25, maybe $30 would be pushing it. $70? No. No. That is insane. But it gets even worse. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Hard Promises. They wanted $99 for this record. $99. But wait. Just so you know, it came with the lyrics, you know, the lyric sheet, you know, those are really hard to get, you guys. That really drives up the value. It does make it worth a little more. It is nice to have with this picture. And it's also on a custom label. So you see, guys, $99. You know, no big deal, right? Wrong. I cannot believe they wanted basically $100 for Hard Promises by Tom Petty. A $25 to $30 record nowadays. Another one that I don't have and I did not pick up at this record store is a Tom Petty live album called Pack Up the Plantation. It is the record they had, even if it had been a $25 record, I would have passed on it based on condition. But they wanted $75 for it. Unbelievable. I mean, again, I know they have a right to ask whatever they want, but it's an antique store where you're supposed to come in and have a little confidence in what the prices are in a store. And unbelievable that they would ask $75 for that record. And then I don't have the original, so I'm just going to show you what I do have. This is the Mo-Fi version of Jeff Beck's Truth. And if a Mo-Fi version of this had been in the store and they were asking $75 for it, that would make total sense to me. And I would think, okay, that's fair. Because this one is out of print. It sounds absolutely fantastic. And it's a similar going rate to what this record sells for. The originals, and in the condition that was in, that one that I saw in the store had a terrible case of ring wear. And they wanted $75 for that record. And I'm kidding you not. When I see that record in that condition, it's a $5 record, maybe 10 for someone who's really pushing it if the vinyl would have looked good. Again, I didn't touch the vinyl. You saw these prices. I was scared to touch anything. If I had damaged anything at all, that would have been a very expensive day, and I wasn't going to do that. Okay, so these next two records absolutely take the cake. I could not believe my eyes. The Beatles' Rarities. An unbelievable one. This is, I mean, it's cool. If you open the gatefold, you see this is that Beatles Butcher, that infamous album. It's a cool picture. You know, I showed you the very first one yesterday and today. That is what I would call, if you could find a second state paste over, that trunk cover that you saw on a second state paste over. If you peel that, it reveals this picture, a very controversial picture that came on an album cover, the original album cover of yesterday and today. The Rarities, they put that photo in there. And I guess when this antique store saw the word Rarities, they thought, wow, this must be rare music by the Beatles. We must charge a lot of money. And they wanted, I kid you not, $200 for this record. I don't know what planet those people are on to think this record is a $200 record. Unbelievable. So, wow. I was absolutely floored. I got this one a little out of order, so I've got two more to show. The Rolling Stones Now. As you can see, my copy looks really beautiful, and I will say that the vintage copy they had looked awful. The seam had seam splits. It was a mess. And that's how I usually see the vintage copies of this record. No doubt about it. They're usually a pretty big mess. This one, as you can see, mine looks really good. It came out of my Rolling Stones in Mono box set. So I give them a pass on a condition of this record because I never see this record in beautiful condition. Back then, most people did not keep their albums in album sleeves. And I'm sure there are some beautiful copies around from people who really took care of the records. I don't see those. So for their raggedy copy of this record, they wanted $45. That's too much for that record. It just is. Even though it's from the 60s and it's cool, it's vintage, it's in terrible shape. I can't even imagine what the vinyl looked like based on the cover. And now that brings me to a record that will shock all of us. I mean, you're going to be shocked when you see how much money they wanted for the last record. It's called, Here at Last, Bee Gees Live. You guys, I literally found this at a flea market for $3 a couple of years ago. Love the Bee Gees. They're cool. And it's a decent record. You know, it is. If you like the Bee Gees and you want to hear a live performance, I never got to see them in concert. This is the closest I'm ever going to get. I paid $3 for this record. Guess how much this record was at that antique store? An antique store where I think, in my opinion, they should have known prices. They wanted $3 for the Bee Gees live. I'm floored. My husband and I looked at each other in absolute disbelief. There's a part of me, and of course I'm making this video to poke fun at this antique store for charging the ridiculous prices they were charging. There's a part of me that also feels like if you're someone who has a ton of money and you don't have kids to leave your inheritance to, and you think $300 is a fair price for that Bee Gees record, get in touch with me. I got some records to sell you, you know? Thankfully, my viewers are smarter than that, and you all are scratching your heads just like I was at this store. Again, anybody has a right to charge and ask whatever they want to. But when I go into an antique store that's serious, it looks serious like that one, and I see a painting on the wall that I'm interested in, and then I see those prices of those vinyl records, I'm not buying anything from you, ever. You have no credibility anymore. I expect you to be an antique dealer who knows something about it. And it's easy to know that $300 for that Bee Gees record is ludicrous. Anybody can figure that out with just having a cell phone and looking something up. So you all tell me, have you ever been into a store where you have found prices that offensive and actually pretty funny, crazy, insane? I hope I never go into another store where I see something like that again, and it pains me to think someone out there might buy one of those records. I'm kicking myself for not coming up to the antique store owner and asking where they came up with those prices. I should have done it. You know, I'm not one for confrontation. I wish I had done that. It would have been an interesting, I would have liked to have heard the answer. So let me know what you think. Have you ever seen anything like this before? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a huge thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell. Most importantly, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.